So I'm going to use a water-soluble ink, meaning washable. You can use a washable paint. Just put a little tiny bit in a cup. You don't need a lot. And what I started doing is I went right into the grooves where I've indented when I used the pencil. When I flip back and forth to make this raised relief, the repoussé. In the space that I haven't done yet, I'm going to show you. You just put a little bit of the paint, or the ink, right into the grooves. In fact, you can go right across the whole thing. That way it gives it a nice texture. You have to allow time for this to dry, and then you can take a tissue and wipe off any raised surfaces. So anything that's been raised or a high relief, you're going to make it shiny again by using a tissue and rub it in a circular motion. So right now I'm just covering the whole surface, just like you see. Okay, you don't need a lot, just enough to cover. Do not use acrylic paints. Acrylic paints are permanent. You cannot wipe them off. Do not use acrylic paint or oil-based paint. Use anything that's washable, water-based. Read the labels. You do not have to do this step if you choose not to. If your foil is too thin and you're worried it'll just rip, leave it alone. Okay, so now that needs a little time to dry. Then I can take a tissue in the spaces that I've already done, and I can just go in a circular motion to polish it so that raised relief will start to look shiny again. Okay? If you find it's not working at all, don't press too hard. You can just put a very tiny drop of water. You don't want to wash it off because you don't want to wash off what's in the groove. You want to create that contrast that you get with the black in the indented design. Okay, I'm going to let this dry and I'll show you my final product and what we're going to do with it. These student examples show you how you can extend your repoussé design to fill the whole space in the background on the paper. I used black paper and so did these students. You can use whatever materials you have. Be creative. Experiment with different things. We're using metallic colored pencils at school. At home you can use pencils, oil pastels, paint, whatever you feel works best for your design. But fill the whole space, leave nothing empty. Repeat to make patterns, and I know you'll love what you come up with. So you can use any kind of paper you like. If you have black, that's what I'm using because it gives us nice deep contrast. If you want to use white paper, that's fine, but you're going to have to find either markers or crayons. But if you have black, and if you have metallic colored pencils, dig them out. If you have oil pastels, that would be great. What we're doing now is taking your design and we're extending it onto the paper. Doesn't matter what kind of paper or what materials you use, but you're going to extend your line across your paper. So I'm just making that line continue, going across the black of the paper or the white, depending on what materials you chose. And I'm going to extend the patterns. So first extend your design. I'm using the silver so you can see I already drew it with pencil. And I'm going to continue across the paper there, and this can follow along that way. Now in the spaces in between you can continue your lines, just keep going. Over here I started with the colored pencil, the metallic colored pencil with the green. Since it's leaves, I'm continuing that theme, that motif with the leaves. So in the spaces in between, I'm inventing new patterns. If you're good at Zentangles, this is a great way to practice. Zentangles are doodles that are patterns that start to change slightly. So you're not going to have everything exactly the same, but as you build your design, they change. So it becomes a rhythm. Okay, so I went off the edge of your paper, and I'm going to continue. This makes the point of that, and then the space in between. So I'm going to fill this whole space with this type of a rhythm and pattern. Looks like a leaf. You design it however you feel it works best with your design. Okay, I'll just stop there and I can continue on this side just so you can get a better idea of what it is that I'm doing. Okay, you can go all the way across this whole space. If you're using the colored pencils, press harder. You can use colored pencil on white paper. That'll work nicely. And then the space that's white on your paper, you can color it in however you like. I started putting my design with a blue metallic in between. Okay, I'm just going to stop there, but I want you to see in this space, maybe I can use another color to continue these circles. So I'm going to take that pattern and I'm going to fill this space with that same pattern. So use the same color, but if you want to combine colors, that's always nice. You put blue in the middle. That's interesting. Okay, and you fill up that space. Now here, I'm going to be continuing with lines. Let's see, I'm going to use the blue. Just follow along. And I can use colors in between. I can make it interesting. I'm also going to add the same images that I put in the first video to see what the other students have done. All right, when you get to a point where there's really not a lot you can add from this, just make your new one, make a new design. And then why not color it or make another pattern inside. Sorry, couldn't see that. So maybe in here, maybe I can do something else. Maybe I can bring back the idea of this here. Maybe the leaves can start fitting in here, so it starts tying it all together. In between. All right, so your job is going to be to fill in all of the space around your repoussé, continuing your pattern. You can use any kind of materials you like. If you want to mix up materials, that is fine. It is completely up to you how you handle this. Just take your time, make it look like you meant to do it and that you enjoyed the process. And remember, I'm looking for work for a virtual art show. So remember to submit the art, not just hand in nothing. You know what I'm talking about. Don't just hit the hand in and not send me a photo, because it's useless to me. I want to include some of your work, okay? So have some fun. So what you might want to do is you can either glue it down right away, or you can wait and then glue it down once your designs are done. That way your lines can go underneath, so that when you put the glue on the back surface, it'll attach so that the designs go underneath. Be careful not to bend it or rip it, but when you're gluing, a glue stick is not going to work. I would use Elmer's glue, tacky glue, or even hot glue. We're going to use hot glue on ours because our metal's heavier at school.